Welcome to the Forgotten Mountain Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast. I am Emily Kopp here with my brother Isaiah, and we are taking some time to introduce our parents, Dwight and Doe. We would love to start out with one of our favorite stories. How did you meet each other?
Well, who gets to tell this story, you or me?
You start. I'll interrupt you when you mess it up.
Okay, no pressure. So, Doe and I happened to be on our very first date together. At that point, I was dating one of her relatives, and she was dating a friend of mine.
And how old were you at this point?
Too early to be dating. I don't know what my parents were thinking. Right? We were in high school, and I was early on in my high school career. So let the listener understand.
See.
I had just moved to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. I grew up overseas in Zambia, Africa, and moved back to the States in '87, moved to Pennsylvania in '88. And right around that time, I met Doe, and we became friends. She was actually my sister's friend. And because she was a couple of years older than I am, I never really thought of her in terms other than just friendship. So it was beautifully uncomplicated, and we were friends for quite a while. In fact, we double dated
A few times.
And eventually, the light bulb came on. And
A couple different people.
with what?
Wasn't always even. Yeah, it was with different people.
With different people, except we were the constant variable.
Took us 5 years to.
It wasn't that long. No, 3 years.
Oh wow, it wasn't only
Because
3.
it was 3 years. Anyway, within that time, the light came on. I realized, this, it's like the veil fell from my eyes, and I realized that just because she was a year and a half older didn't necessarily mean that she was off the table.
I was older then, but I'm younger now.
She's younger now. Yeah, it's
Right,
that's how it works.
That's how it works. Yeah. So we always appreciated the fact that we were able to be friends before we fell in love.
So when you say you were both on your first date together, was it both of your first dates, or was it your first date that both of you were on the same one on, if that makes any sense?
It was my first date, and it was his first date, but it was not.
But it was
Our
also
first
your
date.
first date being together, sort of.
And where did you go?
I know we were at Wendy's, but I don't remember what else we did.
Wendy's is the only part I remember, and the spilled soda. Yeah. It's nice that at Wendy's they have those trays with the lip around the edge. It does sort of minimize the collateral damage when you
It seems
spill a soda.
there might have been another story with something spilled though later.
Yeah, it was a lot
on.
worse.
You want to?
Oh, that's a
talk
lot
about that?
worse. Yeah. Well.
So when we were actually dating each other,
Yeah.
we had a lot of creative dates, and one of those creative dates, my bright idea was, let's borrow my grandfather's wheelchair and go to the mall, and we will just see what it's like. How do people treat you? What is this, just as an experience? And so
It's a social experiment.
I
would not recommend it.
Okay.
Just to be
College
clear.
assignment?
Yeah, I got to
No.
be the first one in the wheelchair, and so he's wheeling me around into stores that we didn't actually have interest in. It was just awkward to try and look at anything on the racks when you're in a wheelchair anyway. But and seeing people's expressions and pity, and suddenly we felt terrible because I realized like these people all really think that I'm handicapped and they feel so bad for me, and I suddenly felt really guilty for deceiving them.
Her grandfather was a big man, so he had a big wheelchair, and Mama Doe, Mama to you,
Yeah.
Doe is not a large person, and so she looked so pitiful and small and frail, and
Which, of course, only added to the...
yes,
Right.
it did. And as Doe was saying, there was so much pity and honor. They looked at me like, "Oh, you're such a dear, such a dear."
What a
Oh,
charming
what-
gentleman.
Great in shining armor.
Yes. Oh man, it was a little thick, and we were at a mall that we didn't normally go to, and we went
purpose.
on purpose to a mall we don't normally go to, just in case we ran into somebody we knew.
But the people in the clothing stores were rushing out to part with the racks for us so we could get through. Like, can we do anything
goodness.
for you? Can we help you with anything? And it's like,
Yeah, it was very sweet, except that suddenly we just felt horrible.
Right.
It just felt horrible, and we had the idea that we were going to swap places, right?
we did. But first we got hungry. and we went down to the food court.
No, I'm telling
Yeah,
this part.
no, we went down to the food court.
No.
And so he orders the food. Sits me at a table. He orders the food, and he's bringing the food back to me. And, of course, there's a milkshake and burgers, I guess. And just as he gets to me, the milkshake falls over, the lid comes off, and it all is in my lap. And it's cold. And when you're sitting in a wheelchair, motionless, going through an air-conditioned building, it gets a little cool anyway, and now I'm covered in cold milkshake. And so I was just about to get healed miraculously, and he's like, sit down,
You're not getting out of that chair. You're not getting out of
So
that chair.
I'm sitting in this, and we're trying to mop it up with napkins, and it was just super awkward.
It was bad.
Everybody's watching because they're like, oh my gosh, he just dumped a shake in that poor little, poor young girl,
Yes,
that
that,
handicapped girl's lap.
that noble fellow pushing her around suddenly was a scoundrel and a scallywag of the worst order.
A couple stars were taken off.
We finished quickly and then went out to the car, and then we're like, we are not changing places.
No.
That's the end of that because they will remember.
Oof.
But anyway,
Yeah, just so you know, I'm going to go on record and say I cannot recommend that.
Fair enough.
Not a good idea.
But the stories.
Well, yeah.
So what was that light bulb moment where you sort of realized, wait a minute,
Oh,
maybe she's the one?
that was early on. Actually, it was we had our very first date, just the two of us, where we were
Right.
actually dating each other instead of somebody else, but together. 2 weeks later, I met my cousin Jason, who was visiting from California, and I said, Jason, I'm going to marry that girl.
yeah, but when you first realized you wanted to ask me out, you asked me to do something. I'm like, oh yeah, let's get a group together and go hiking together, because that was just so common. I mean, we were part of a youth group that we were together doing a lot of stuff with a fun group continuously, and so I was not clued in. But then when you asked, it became very clear, because you are the most direct person I know.
I don't think I'm probably the most direct person she knows.
What do you say, kids?
I will say I work with some pretty direct people, and you definitely prepared me well.
Yeah, you're pretty
So-
direct.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're dating then, and then how long were you dating before you got married?
We were probably dating a little more than a year, because we were engaged about 9 months.
Yeah. So our first date, I was 17. We were engaged by the time I was 18, and we got married when I was 19.
Which means your first date together, but separately, was when you were 14.
You did the math.
I did the math.
We like to bring it up now and then. Just
Yeah,
so
thanks.
we're
Yeah.
recording,
Which
So-
made me the driver, because
Yeah.
he couldn't even
Nobody
drive.
else could
So
drive.
she drove you
She
to
drove
your
me.
first date.
Oh, I know. I'm so ashamed. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the early years, first married. Obviously, there's a little bit of a spoiler because Isaiah and I are here, so everyone kind of
Obviously.
knows some things that happened. But we do have 3 other siblings. What was life like homeschooling? What was your career, or what was that like? And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, probably before we get into the children years, we should talk about the years before the children years.
Yeah, so he was in college. You had a year and a half under your belt when we got married,
Can't remember.
and something like that. And so I was working to put him through college. So there was kind of fits and spurts. I mean, I was working all the time, but he would go a semester, save up, go another semester, work and save up. So it was kind of back and forth. He wasn't able to go for a whole solid year together that I recall.
No, because
But
the way the school was structured, as I remember, anything over 15 credits was no extra money. So we figured I'd take 18 and 21
Yeah.
credits and knock it out. And so I worked full time between semesters, and then like semester on, semester off sort of thing.
And so we did that for about 2.5-ish years. And I was just like, honey, I know we said we'd wait to have kids till you graduate, but I want kids so bad. I don't know how to tell you. I can't wait anymore. I really, really want kids. She's like, well, okay, we'll trust God and we'll do it. And so we did. And so we actually had a miscarriage first, and then we had Emily, and 18 months later we had Whitney. And Yes, and he didn't graduate till we already had 2 children, Emily and Whitney both. So, things were very tight, and most of our years things were fairly tight.
Financially.
Yeah. But it was really, I loved that we did it together and that we were in the faith journey together, and we didn't take it out on each other for that. Like, we just knew we were in it, and we were really fighting for what we had, and just kept going to God, like, help.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So our early decision was that Doe would stay home with the kids. We felt like that was something that we definitely wanted to prioritize, because everybody says, the priority is, God, spouse, family, work, right? Well, we felt like that looks like something. And to us, that looked like Doe staying home with the kids. So my degree was in international studies, and so what was normally a 4-year program ended up being a little bit longer.
Like 7 years or
I
something.
don't think it's quite that long, but it was a while.
It was a while. But we saw so many miracles too. Like, God provided in ways, like, we ended up having to spend all the money we saved up for college on a car bill, a repair bill, and that was really hard. And within 2 weeks, somebody gifted us the exact amount that we spent on the car that we needed for college. And we were given an apartment to stay in. Our rent, this would have been in 1994. Our rent was $150 a month. I mean, I know that costs have gone up, but like, that was like a third of the price most people paid on rent at the time.
You can barely
But there was a reason. Like, it was an apartment above a garage, a 3-car garage that had no garage door. So, and the insulation did not work. If there was any, it did not work.
Yeah,
So
what
it was
insulation?
very cold or very hot in there. And
then there was Emily.
no, you jumped ahead. So it was so cold that I would wear 2 pair of socks, pair of slippers. Sometimes if he wasn't around, I'd put his slippers on top of my slippers, and I'd still hop from rug to rug because it was just so cold. And we sometimes would open the refrigerator and stand in front of it to stay warm.
That is not true.
I was gonna say
It was cold. Not that cold.
you can
Not
barely
that
get a storage unit for $150 a month anymore, but it sounds like it almost was a storage unit.
Yeah, it felt like And
But it was a gift too.
And there was a blizzard that winter, and my mom gave us an electric blanket. And 9 months later, Emily was born.
See why my birthday is in October.
Yes.
True statement. Yeah.
So you had mentioned taking international studies as your degree. What sparked that interest? Why did you choose that?
Well, that is a good question. A question I'm not sure I have a good answer to.
Still asking that one.
But I mean, I grew up overseas, so I had an interest in the international perspective, and my emphasis was on Africa.
You love cultures.
I do, yeah. And so my degree was international studies with an emphasis on Africa or Africana studies, and then a minor in writing and almost a minor in French, because I thought, well, between English and French, you have most of the African continent covered, at least a lot of it, as far as the primary languages. So somewhere along the way, I thought that would help me find my way back to Africa, I suppose. I never really found myself in a typical career that would be really related to that degree. What career that would be, I'm not exactly sure.
Right. So did you end up going back to Africa?
We did. Doe and I ended up going to Zambia, Central Africa, for about a year and a half, and we worked with a nonprofit NGO in that country, and for part of the time, for the first 6 or 7 months, I had the privilege of working with the organization's National HIV/AIDS Ministry Coordinator. She was an older British woman, and I was her driver, which was, for her, I'm sure, quite terrifying, because I was relearning how to drive on the left-hand side of the road. I did actually first learn how to drive on the left-hand side of the road, but then I came to this country and was corrupted. A woman I was working with would kindly remind me to drive a little bit more on the left-hand side.
So she couldn't drive.
She could. I don't know. I think it was just a way to
She
justify
probably-
my existence. And
She
get-
probably didn't care for driving.
yeah, and it also gave me some much needed time to sort of practice, which in the capital city was, like I said, probably terrifying for her. But we had
Right.
some fascinating interviews with people in and around the capital city, and we paused many times with her for tea as a family.
yeah.
Yeah. So this was after you've been married several years, just to clarify when that time was. I was about 5 when we went to Zambia.
Yes.
So we
So-
would have been married, higher math. Somebody help me.
8 to 9 years. Oh, was it? Maybe more than that. So Emily was 5, Whitney was 3, and Andrew had just been born. He was 4 months old when we went. So
It was 8 years. Yeah, we were married in 93 and we went to Africa in 01.
So first we lived in Lusaka for 6 months, and then we moved out to the bush for the next year. The bush would be like kind of like the woods, except that it doesn't get nearly as large. The trees aren't nearly as large, and it's a very sandy soil. It was on the edge of the Kalahari Desert, and so there's very sandy. There isn't any soil. It's just sand. And they get rain, so it is still green for some of the year, but the climate is about 70 to 80 degrees most of the year round. So very wonderful climate. And but being in the bush means you're very far from access to any kind of shopping. So even a grocery store, as we know it, was a 2-hour drive at least. But the more common one we went to is 8 to 9 hours away, simply because that was in Lusaka. And in Lusaka, you could also take care of a lot of other business that you needed to take care of. We could go to a market locally to get some fresh produce and milk and eggs. We'd buy them,
By the
count
egg.
how many eggs you want and how many kwacha per egg. You didn't buy them by the dozen, you bought them by the egg. But
Yeah, at that market, we could get long life milk, which was basically kind of like evaporated milk or vacuum sealed packages.
Yeah.
Is
in
that what
boxes.
you attribute your stunning height to?
No, that would be my childhood drinking powdered milk. I believe that's why, even though my uncles are tall men, I'm still only reaching as far as 5'8" when I stand up straight. So the living in the bush is really a phenomenal experience because you get to enter into a kind of silence that we just can't find anymore in America. I mean, there was a generator that ran about 6 hours a day, 3 in the morning, 3 at night. But in between those times, it was quiet in a way that you don't experience. There were no fans running, no electric motors, no traffic really. If there was traffic where we lived, it was because people came to where we lived. They came to that space.
yeah,
to
if
that
you heard a
station.
car, you ran to the window to see who's coming or going there were so few cars. And if you heard a plane overhead, you ran outside to see who's coming because we didn't even hear commercial flights fly overhead.
Yeah. Yeah, when we say roads, basically we're talking about bush tracks. There were no roads around the station where we lived. And we had radio call up twice a day. Every now and then I would fill in for that, which was kind of fun. You get to, operate the shortwave radio and reach out to people that you knew across the country, which was kind of a fun connect. But it took about 3 months for us to detox from the noise and the busyness of living in the capital city. And this was before iPhones. I actually got my first cell phone in Zambia. But it certainly wasn't an iPhone. But even still, when we moved out to the bush, obviously the cell phone was useless at that point. When we moved out to the bush, it took quite a while for us to detox from the noise and the busyness. But once after we got through that, we found that the silence started to settle into us too. And it really was a very sweet time.
Yeah, we really had to get used to boredom and find things to do, or we made up games, and because there's really not much of any when the sun sets, there's just nobody's doing anything anymore. Everything kind of settles down, and so it's like, okay, what do we do? So you make up your own games and ways to interact and connect and have fun, and
Neat.
it's really good for us.
Yeah.
So after a year and a half, you're back in the States now, and you have 3 children at this point.
and we
And
were
one on the
bringing home
way.
a fourth.
Okay. One of my enter Isaiah.
That would be Isaiah.
That was me.
So do you want to share a little about what was life coming back to the States? How was that adjustment? And then Mama homeschooled us. What was life like homeschooling 5 kids?
Coming back to the States was a case of significant whiplash for us. Obviously, coming from the quiet of the bush to America is its own kind of shock. But we had expected to be in Zambia for a very long time, and due to some unforeseen circumstances, we ended up back in the States after only a year and a half. And then we sort of went through that process of trying to reintegrate into American society after having divested ourselves of almost everything we owned.
Yeah. Starting
right.
over.
Yeah, starting over.
Yes.
But I think homeschool was probably a good, stable space because, the kids were able to just kind of pick up where they left off in Zambia and felt like a consistent routine.
Yeah, we really kind of started homeschooling in Zambia, and it just carried over at home. And I loved schooling, and I'd always wanted to be a mom, so I just loved having the kids at home around me, and it was really fun.
So do you guys have a favorite memory from homeschool?
Well, I do have a story not really relating to homeschool, just to all of us fooling around, which was probably 50% of our life.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. This would have been before our youngest sister was adopted, but we had, well, I guess you have a shop out the back of the house, and we would often commandeer it for various programs or things that we
Oh, yes, I remember the story.
needed to do or play or make believe. So we had houses in there and ships, and we had one time an exceptional pirate ship, which we stacked several wood bench tables on top of each other, and we had a canvas that we could raise and lower as the, what is it called?
The sail.
Sail, thanks.
Yeah.
Very nautical. Yeah.
Great. And we were all in full pirate wardrobe, of course. But I felt that we were lacking the necessary facial hair to be real pirates. And so I suggested lovingly to my younger sister that I could potentially add a mustache to her with a Sharpie if she would fetch one for me, which she did.
Oh, yes.
And so I performed a holy experiment on her and realized about halfway through that it would be permanent. And she did have soccer practice that evening. And then, it was embarrassing and a bit of a sister fail. But later, it made it worse when she asked me later why I didn't do myself first. And I did have to admit that it was because I wasn't certain whether it would come off.
Wow. So you already knew when you were putting it on, but you just decided
I didn't
to commit.
know. I just had a question.
A little
I was
nudge.
curious.
A strong hunch.
And she
But,
did forgive you eventually.
She did, yeah, a couple years later.
I
But
thought it was just yesterday. I don't know.
But, it was a very accurate representation of piracy. So I felt,
Yeah,
did a
you're
good
playing
job.
into the part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kids
Yeah.
did play together and had so many fun adventures and stories and make believe, and we had a bin full of costumes, this and that all different costumes got used for all different purposes, and yeah.
That's not the only imaginary ship that we had in our home.
Oh no. Yeah, so we mentioned earlier that we didn't have a lot of money, and so for your birthday one year, I decided that we were going to go on a cruise. And so when you got home, I think I sent you upstairs with a suitcase to get changed and come down to a dinner. So basically, we kind of had a cruise at home. So we had dress-up dinners in the evening.
The
The
captain's
kids
table.
would serve, and yes, the captain's table. Kids would serve, and then we would have like pina coladas in the mudroom where the wood coal stove was. So it was nice and warm, and we had a fake palm tree that we
you
crafted
made
out
out
of
of-
cardboard, and we would have pina coladas around the fire because it was warm enough to feel like it was maybe a cruise. And we would watch Rick Steves' Mediterranean
As
tour
our
of
tour
Europe.
stops.
Yeah. And do you remember any other things we did?
We had dancing.
Don't
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
We did have
Dancing.
dancing.
Yeah.
We had paparazzi, I think.
Oh yeah, we had a ship photographer.
Yes, yes. Our other
Oh,
brother
yeah.
is not here tonight.
Oh yeah,
Took that role.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I remember sitting on the beach chairs in the mudroom
Oh, yeah.
with our swimsuits on, next to leaves crafted from green construction paper.
And I
to
think
look
we had
like
music
palm trees.
going.
Yes,
And,
it was.
Even
it was
our
fun.
even our
Quality
dog
scenery.
came along.
Even
a great cruise.
I mean, how many people can take their dog on a cruise? I mean, I don't
No,
really
well,
know.
if it's
Actually.
a small dog, but not a German Shepherd.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, she's a big dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So sometime after we got back from our cruise, we Doe suggested that she might have space in her heart for one more child, which was a little complicated because there had been some medical procedures completed to make that a little harder to pull off. So for Valentine's Day in 2011, I gave her a card that listed all of the possible options. I won't get too specific, but one of them was the adoption process. So fast forward about a year, we had completed the foster training because we decided to go with the foster adopt program where you can adopt children that are a little older. So you have to complete that training because in Pennsylvania, you have to essentially foster a child for 6 months before you can finalize on adoption. So there's lots of God stories around that journey. One of which is that God actually gave us the name of the child. I wrote the name in my journal. You came down that morning and said, I wonder if her name is, and we were just sure at that point, then that child must be for us. So we called the social worker and said, and she told us the kid's name, and it was just really a beautiful story, which we can get into some other time perhaps. But so she came to us when she was about 4-ish. And Isaiah, how old were you at that time?
I would have been probably 8.
7 or 8.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And we were able to travel some, not just the virtual traveling, by cruise. We ended up finding an old and rather ugly RV on Craigslist. You remember that?
Yeah.
I do remember that.
She was beautiful to me.
So I can't recommend buying an RV on Craigslist, especially if you're planning to drive it all the way across the country so that you can put your toes in the Pacific.
Which we were planning to do.
We were planning to do that. And
A
then
1980s RV.
drive it
Lots
all
of
the
pink
way.
inside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pink shag carpet, pink Venetian blinds,
Pink valances.
pink upholstery.
Mhm.
It was neat.
Yeah.
A lot of that went
Yes.
before we left.
We did a full-scale remodel of the thing before we went, and we gave her a name,
Gypsy Rose.
Gypsy Rose. So that camper was a Class C RV, which is designed, they say, for 6 people, which is a bit of a joke, right? Even the double bed, I think, was 42 inches wide.
Yes,
Doe and I
that
joked
was-
about the reality that if we could only take turns laying on our back. We had to, like ready, switch, and then
Literally, I had to say, I need to roll over, and we all had to adjust. We both had to adjust if somebody wanted to move because we had 21 inches each, which is not enough space to put your arms,
Right.
shoulders down
Right.
flat.
So somebody had to sleep with their arm up. But, we had such a wonderful time, even though there were 7 of us in a 6-place RV that doesn't really suit 6. Our youngest daughter was...
Across the two
we
front seats.
contrived a bed across the front 2 seats.
Yeah.
But we left the end of May. Is that
Middle
right?
of May.
Middle of May, and we were gone for about 31 days. And we did go all the way across this country out to California. And all
Saw
the
the
way back.
major national parks, and it
And
was
had
really
a ton
great.
of fun. Remember remember the highway stop?
Oh, offering dinner to the couple of people stopped next to us on the highway. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The traffic got long and we needed dinner, so.
Well, that's
It
right.
was-
I mean, we turned on the gas because it looked like we were going to be there a while, right?
Yeah, the
And,
trucks had shut down their engines and everything.
Yeah,
like
we
it
were
was
fully
a
stopped.
Yeah, we were out
full-on
walking
stall.
around, and I found that older couple sitting in a car next to us. So I figured they're probably hungry, so we invited them over. They turned us down,
I
but
said no.
yeah,
Oh, why?
it would have been fun.
Just a
Oh, well.
lot of children hanging
Well,
out all the windows.
there wouldn't have been any room. I mean, it
It's a
reminded
street
me.
side.
It was all
dinner.
knees and elbows when we were all sitting around the table inside because
Yeah.
it was summer, so most of our time we spent outside eating or outside where, but so to all have to eat inside was very crowded.
But I think we stayed for the month that we were on the road. I think we stayed in maybe 3 campsites, and the rest of the time we boondocked and
Yeah.
visited friends and family along the way. It was
Do you
lovely.
want to explain what boondocking is for those who don't?
Yeah, boondocking is finding any place to park and parking there. Usually it's in the out of the way places in not America's version of the bush, whatever that is.
Under bridges. Well, not.
Not,
You make us sound homeless.
Yeah, no, I
don't
don't
like that.
What was that called?
but no electric hookup.
BLM
No.
land. What is that? Land
Bureau
management.
of Land Management.
Bureau of Land Management places, wildlife refuges, or some places you just ask like, hey, can we just park here for the night? It's somebody's ranch or whatever.
We did a lot of fun things together. I remember we, at one point, probably I was in high school, maybe late middle school when we did this, fashioned a cider press. When I say we, it's basically you. I fashioned a cider press, and we made our own fresh apple cider using a car jack. We'd make applesauce.
Yep.
Have applesauce days.
It doesn't
every
make it
September.
sound very appealing, but
It was liquid gold, though.
I mean, it was
the
a pretty
car
good
jack-
looking cider press.
car
I
jack part,
will
yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Actually, it was kind of fun. I mean, I do like making things, and so that cider press brought quite a bit of enjoyment to our family.
What you do without TV.
That's right. That's what happens when you don't
Yes.
have
Well,
television. I
even
guess.
just applesauce day was something we just always looked forward to because we didn't just make applesauce. We made apple cake, apple butter, all the things that you could make with
Yeah.
that all at one time.
And in reference, like hundreds of pounds of apples, right?
We would
Not-
have like
not
90
like
some
a
quarts
bag.
of applesauce that
The day would end, the floors are sticky.
Oh,
The
yes.
walls are probably sticky. We're definitely sticky.
had to hose everything down.
Yeah.
And the whole world smells like apples.
Yeah. And
Our
nobody wants
chickens
to
would
eat apples.
even be even the chickens would be sick of the apple scraps because there were so many.
I guess that you mentioned building things. What are some other hobbies that you have?
I love just about anything in the home. So gardening, whether it's flowers or vegetables, cooking, sewing, crocheting, quilting, making cheese, making soap.
Canning.
What else canning, freezing, you name it. Pretty much all the things. But I'm not proficient in any one. I just like to dabble. I dabble here and I dabble there, and then I like learning new things. But macrame, but it doesn't go
Cheese making,
real
did you say
deep.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think your love for hands-on things really translated to our kids as well. I mean, we
Yeah.
both have that, I guess. But I remember one of the sewing crafts that you got the boys involved in. I mean, most people don't think about boys liking sewing, but I remember the sharks you made. There were these cool sharks. Remember those?
I do.
They're like
I
2
mean,
foot
to be fair, I
long.
don't know that I remembered enjoying sewing, but I think we did it as part of our education.
Oh, you boys asked to sew. We want to sew too, and I was teaching the girls, and I thought,
I don't
well,
remember that.
why not? So you made pillows first, and then aprons, and then bathrobes, and then stuffed sharks that were like 2 feet long with a zipper mouth and the
Oh, yeah.
The little goldfish inside.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
so,
googly
yeah.
eyes, and yeah, cool.
They were great.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I like to make things, and so I've maybe I'm a bit of a hack. I don't know, but I've made all kinds of different things, including probably one of the most fun was making a rickshaw. I had a group of students when I was in education. I had a group of students, and we made a real life-size, hand-drawn rickshaw that we built after we borrowed the axle and wheels from an retired Amish buggy. So we had a fun time. And then after the school was done with it, it was sat in our barn for a while. And we took a couple of trips around the neighborhood. People don't know what to do with that in Lancaster
They didn't
County,
know what to do with this
Pennsylvania.
anyway, so
No,
it was
it's-
fine. We just
I had a good time pulling you all around. I mean, you could all fit in the rickshaw together,
Yeah.
and I was the horse. And
it was pretty cool as a child.
that was fun. It's weird, but I guess when you don't care, you have fun.
Yeah.
And so I've enjoyed building things. You know, I probably boats are one of the things that I've enjoyed building the most along the way. And the boys and I built some boats. One year we decided we wanted to try and build boats out of one sheet of 1/4-inch ply, which is not a lot of material. And we ended up using a variety of techniques to stitch them, glue them together, and they looked remarkably like a banana. And they performed about as well as
As
you
a
would
banana.
expect for a banana. But they did
Yeah.
float, and
Yeah, they did.
we took trips down rivers in them.
They worked until you hit
yeah.
rocks. They weren't really quite made to.
They weren't.
I do remember a few different revised models after, a couple of leaks and a sunken boat. But
A little
Yeah.
duct tape
Yeah.
and
yeah.
Camping has been another really fun thing our family's done together over the years. Tent camping, Pine Creek's a favorite area. But yes, yeah, we've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, other hobbies for me would include writing, and I like music, so I dabble with various instruments, and yeah.
what's your newest instrument? You wanna reveal the depth of
Yes.
your
Weirdness, you mean? I have a didgeridoo that I made out of
PVC.
PVC pipe. It looks like PVC pipe, but it functions just like a didgeridoo. And I may or may not have been playing it in the downstairs bathroom today because it has this really cool resonant sound coming off the tile. It was amazing. Isaiah will have to try it.
Okay.
Yeah. Isaiah has inherited, well, you both have inherited a love for music, and Isaiah's
different
musical
music, but
hobby is louder.
Yes.
You use your voice,
Yeah.
he uses drums.
That's
Which,
fair.
Yes.
yeah.
It's not an easy way to do that quietly.
No, it's not. So if anybody's listening, if you want to get your child into an instrument, pick something soft that's easy to carry.
Not drums.
No, what's that?
Not drums.
Not drums.
Not drums.
I can speak from experience. Drums are not easy to port around.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
So what does your life look like now that most of us kids are moved out and you're pretty much on your own here?
Most of us, excepting the drummer, who
Except
happens to
me,
still be
yeah.
home because he hasn't found anybody who'll take him and his drums.
Yeah.
Stay as long as you can. Just kidding.
Doe and I are both self-employed, so we spend a lot of time together. We're working side by side. Sometimes we're working, and I'm working in the workshop or she's inside, and we love that. We're able to eat all our meals together. We eat 3 meals a day together. That means we actually sit down and we eat together, and I love the rhythm of that. Being self-employed and being able to do that is just really sweet, and that's the best part. For us about being self-employed, and we wanted our businesses not to just make as much money as possible, though that's not so bad sometimes, right? But really, we wanted a certain kind of lifestyle, and so we have rhythms that allow us bandwidth to be able to meet with people, and we do that a lot. God seems to be bringing people to us for various things, and we do a lot of discipleship in our home, in our living room, and discipleship makes it sound really formal. We're just in relationship with people, and some of that most of that really has been informal in relationship and just doing life with people. But we've also had the fun of being able to do some classes like Dating 101 and Marriage 101, which was well attended by a couple of young men that you may or may not know.
Yeah, maybe.
It was fun stopping in, for dinner and seeing all the guys having supper with you around the table before they did the class together.
Yeah.
Just a sweet rhythm.
And God has just brought us a lot of people in crisis. I mean, even early in our marriage, there were a few examples of that. But as we've had more time and we've made more space for them, God has just really brought us a lot of people in crisis that we just have had such a heart for. And so we have spent a lot of our time. And really, that is what our jobs take so few hours compared to most people, because that's what we have given our lives to and are really passionate about, helping when people are in a crisis. And so that has kind of been part of our pursuit of the church operating in the way that God called her to, because we're missing the leadership and the discipleship that's needed for the body of Christ. And so because of all the things that we were teaching, people, we had no interest in starting a podcast. That was not our thing, not on our radar. But we had multiple people come to us and say, you guys need to do a podcast. You guys need to do a podcast. You guys need to do a podcast. Okay.
Yeah, I think my first response when somebody told me it was that, no, that's stupid. I don't.
Yeah.
And not that I think it's stupid. I just didn't think
Right.
it was for me.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Here we are. Well, thanks for letting us interrupt the regularly scheduled program and interview you both a little bit. It's been fun kind of going back and hearing old stories again,
Yeah.
even though we do hear a lot repeated around the family dinner table every week.
Yeah.
So